Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show, Autumn is Here. I am your host, Francine Crawford, and today we are speaking to a caregiver or a former caregiver. Her name is Patricia Battle, and she's here to share her story. Hi, Patricia. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you? Excited to be here to talk to you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and being willing to share your story. Everybody's not willing to share their story. Sometimes it's too tough, and sometimes people have not so positive experiences, so they don't want to share it. But I'm so glad that you're able to share your story with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So before I start, I just want to know just a little bit about yourself. Can you give us something about yourself?
Well, I was born and raised in Queens, New York, and that's where I spent most of my life and where all my children were raised. I have 3 children, adult children. And then my late husband and I, we took that trek to North Carolina, where we landed and been here in Charlotte for the last 30 years.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So where I am right now is still in Charlotte, 3 adult children, and now I have 3 grandchildren. So it's been a journey.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about when you began first became a caregiver. Who was that to?
Well, I like to say that you don't realize when you become a caregiver. You sort of slide into it, and then the next thing you know, you're in it, full throttle. And that really started with my dad, where I knew that things had to change, decisions had to be made. And by that, I say, at that point, there was discussion. I was still working full time, and there was discussion about early retirement. So it kind of all happened at one time. So I kind of made it happen all at one time. And then my dad needed care. I had the option to early retire. So I kind of slid into caring for him first part-time and then full-time. And as a result, I took early retirement from my job.
Oh, okay. So part-time, first you started taking care of him part-time and then full-time. Was it because the condition got worse, or overall it was you thought you could handle it, but it was just too much?
All of that. So yes, when you're working, most of your day, of course, is working and making your life happen. But on the weekends, so that's why I say part-time. On the weekends, I was driving, and I don't know the mileage, but it was a 2-hour drive back and forth from Charlotte, North Carolina to Fayetteville, North Carolina. So I was doing that, and that's 2 hours each way. So I was doing that just to keep track of him, and as well as my stepmom at the time. So initially started out, of course, ensuring his bills are paid, his house is taken care of, medication is, being dispensed correctly. But then, as aging sets in, as eventually dementia and Alzheimer's set in, then the role changed. So all of that, it didn't feel like it happened at one time, but it kind of morphed into that happening all at one time when I had to make those big decisions in life.
Okay, so then you retired and became his full-time caregiver.
I call it full time in that my focus then was to move him to Charlotte, and move him in my home. With then the potential of moving him into maybe a nursing home, so that I can definitely be, 2 steps away from him, coming and see him. So, first starting out in home, getting that transition, that was a little bit of a difficult lift when it comes to having, an elder come out of their home and then come into your home.
What were some of the challenges with that, taking him from his environment to your environment? What were some of the challenges? Was it just challenges with you, or was it challenges with him being comfortable or confused or something like that?
A big part of it was, well, I say it was, culture, culture clash, because my dad is from the Caribbean. He's from the island of Antigua. And, you have this strong sense of culture and family, and, he doesn't need to be taken care of. And, it's understandable, but we never talk about it. In our community, in our home, we just say, "Oh, well, that's aging," or that person is getting older, and so a lot of that I feel was some of culture and tradition,
Mhm.
and then a lot of it was how do we make this happen? I'm living with you, and how do I have my own? How do I still be independent? So a lot of that was still part of, the issue.
Wow. So, was it? Do you think that it was any difficulty in that he was this your father figure and a man that you had to care for? Was there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there make no bones about it. When you have a daughter that is caring for a father, who is strong-willed, uh, somewhat stoic, and absolutely, in terms of then the roles reversed. So then now I am then instructing him what to do versus all his life he's been instructing me what to do. So, it's role reversal was really big, in terms of now, dad, you're in my home. And no, you can't just hop in a car and go down the road and do what you need to do, because my dad drove until he was about 90 years old.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, and of course, I'm sure your listeners, if they drive, there's lots of interesting things that come with a loved one that will not give up that independence of driving too. So that was,
Me, I just want you to know that. What happens to me? You can't take my keys.
yeah. But let me share for you. So the key removal was interesting, and in that I had to put a silver alert out on my dad. So what we have down here, and I'm sure it's across the country, is if you have a senior that gets lost or you can't, so you could put a senior alert on, just like an Amber Alert.
Mm.
So I had to do a senior alert, a silver alert on my dad, because he decided he wanted to drive to Georgia to my step family's house, and he got lost, and we couldn't find him.
Oh no. Oh my goodness.
Well, what had happened was he wound up getting very disoriented, and he never left the state of North Carolina. He's driving around and pretty much in a circle.
Mhm.
Didn't use GPS, trying to use a map. And I get a call 4 o'clock in the morning from a state trooper in some tiny town in North Carolina saying, "Are you Patricia Battle? I have your father here. And we are going to ensure that we take him down to the station and get him settled." So what it was,
Wow.
he went down the wrong ramp on a 2-lane highway. So he was driving the wrong direction.
Direction. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So they got the car stopped. They got him out. They got him settled, and I had to drive down and bail him out. They didn't arrest him, but because they're so age. But that's when the keys were removed.
So he was able. He was willing then to give up the keys.
No, they were Dad, I'm taking the keys.
Okay. Okay.
The car is not functioning, and we just didn't let him see the car anymore. It's like we said, the car got impounded. He got the white line.
That's an interesting point. You know, it's hard to take away stuff that they like and things like that. But when it's a danger to them, you're gonna have to assert yourself, even if you don't want to, even if they're frustrated, even if they're angry. If it becomes a danger to them or to other people, you're going to have to step in and do it. And you like you don't want to, upset them or hurt them, but it's for their best. So that's a tough call to make. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about, now that I think about it, as a caregiver, and I'll just speak about with my father caring for my dad. There were tiny instances of this, of his cognitive abilities diminishing. I will admit a lot of it was denial on the family. We just figured he was being stubborn, hard-headed. He could still function and do certain things, but it was clear. There were clear signs. Life was busy, and I didn't pay attention. We all didn't pay attention. So, hindsight is 2020, but that surely was, sort of the final straw that I had to do something and do it quickly so that I can ensure his safety and the safety of others, and just, get our lives in some kind of rhythm where, we are following him and following his care.
Wait, did you get any extra help? Like, was it a point in time that he stayed with you the whole time, or did he have to go into a facility at all?
So don't quote me on it, but I want to say it was only 90 days we were able to care for him in the house, because my dad was so strong-willed. The Alzheimer's and dementia was I guess moving quicker than we realized. And where it came to a head was one night, well, not one night, it was a series of nights. He was getting up in the middle of the night, wanting to fix things. He wanted to fix the fan, he wanted to fix the bed. And, we're at 2:00 in the morning, 4:00 in the morning, for 5 days in a row. It's like, okay, this can't work. And then he's going down the steps. We're afraid that, because I live in a 2-story home, we're afraid he's going to pull down the steps. He's going up and down the steps. And then he woke up one night, he's cooking in the middle of the night. So, we couldn't lock him in the room, because then, just that's not good and it's not right. And we were trying to adjust, to what we needed to do to care for him in the house. Eventually, the dementia was rolling for him, setting in, and this was unmanageable. Unmanageable. And for everybody's safety, And then one day he decided he was trying to climb out the window on the second story.
Oh boy. Okay.
So I have an alarm on the house, so the alarm went, woo! So it's a hodgepodge of things. It's many things, and it's behaviors that that are not, they're normal, that make you say, okay, we have to think of a different plan.
Even though you were going through all that and the struggle and stuff like that, how hard was it to put him into a facility? Was that something that
Extremely hard.
it was okay?
Oh yes, extremely hard. And actually, I had a girlfriend, a friend of mine. She kind of went along with me because I wanted to vet all of these places that I went. So we had our list, list of things that I could deal with, and some things that I couldn't deal with. And that was difficult because Actually, he was in two places. Um, and first place didn't work out well. Just not enough diversity. And then the second place worked out better because they had a memory care unit and one where he could go outside and he could be free, but it's still gated in. So he had movement. And so I have the best of both worlds, I guess.
It's hard. It's hard. There's so many things that you don't realize that you have to think about before you allow them to go to a facility. You know, good point about diversity. Good point about how much freedom will they have, because every place is different. So it takes a little while. So he was there for a while, and then he passed away.
Yes. That's sort of a memory. I don't want to keep track of the time frame because when I think about it, it's just, okay, that was a point in my life, but I want to say it was about 6 months he was in it before he passed away. And what the blessing in it too, in terms of help, I did have a village of people that helped me. Thank goodness. Because my brother had passed away, so I was the only, child doing whatever, doing God's work when it came to him. But yes, my dad was a veteran. And so, also with the help of Veteran Services, I was able to help, place him in a facility that was a little nicer because of his VA benefits help cover some of the costs.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you now. You you took care of your dad and he passed away, but then you had to eventually take care of someone else.
Yes, my late husband, I'm saying late because he has passed away. My husband of 40 years became sick, and I guess we all use COVID as a point in time. So it was 2021 when he was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. And it was interesting because during the time like COVID, until that time, because the community I live in, it's kind of quiet and residential. We were kicking butt, we're walking every day, exercising, like we were on the road. We do our little marriage walk every morning and then go in our corners, So, the marriage was turning, and we doing our health walk and everything. And, he was saying his back keeps hurting, his back. And I said, well, maybe it's the walk. Well, anyway, went to the doctor. Some of them tests didn't look right. And then, we got the diagnosis in the spring of 2021. And, my thought was, oh, we are catching it. This this aggressive form of cancer, because it was at the beginning. So yeah, odds are good. So, but that journey took 2 years of trying to heal and treat and get better. And it was a long journey that involved so much emotional, physical, and spiritual, strength and stress for myself and for the entire family. Yeah.
Do you think that caring for your dad prepared you a little more for caring for your husband? It was both two men, but there were different, relations. So how was that?
Well, absolutely. Like they said, the lessons are, they always precede where you need to be the strongest. Absolutely. My story, for me, I feel it's unique because it's two men in my life, two strong men. And to see them be these amazing men in their lives, and then they get to a point where they're weak And then, so for me, for my husband, I look at it, it was sort of a sacred journey, I believe, for us. I look back at it. There was a lot of decisions we had to make. You know, I had to take early Social Security because we wanted to make sure that money was coming in the door because we didn't know how much it was going to cost.
Mhm.
It's something that the listeners need to think about is talk about finances up front when you're in a position of not knowing what the future is going to be like.
Mhm.
So you can plan. So, that was a discussion we had just to make sure that, because we didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And you never really know as a caregiver what the outcomes are going to be, you know.
What are the things that you may have picked up that you may have learned when going through this? It comes unexpected, and we know that.
Mhm.
What did you learn as you were going through? What are the things that you've learned?
I said advocate, advocate, advocate.
Okay.
Ask question, and ask questions. Most of the hospital staff, at least for my husband, thought that I worked in the healthcare industry. I was like, no, I just need to know, what does this medication do? Is there any options? And that was a big thing for me because there were so many medications for my husband and expensive ones as well. And so for me now, we've always learned, okay, this medication, is there another one just like it? Is there a generic? And okay, does the company offer subsidies to it? So we had one medication for my husband, a 30-day supply was $8,000.
Oh my God.
30-day supply was $8,000. So
Mhm.
we used some of the case managers and the social workers of the hospital system to say, okay, what are our options?
Right.
Does some companies, you can fill out a little form and say, this costs too much, but we need it. And they'll say, okay, we'll work with your hospital provider.
Mm.
And they will send it anyway.
But you learned that going through it. You didn't know that ahead of time.
No.
No. Right. Wow.
And it's because I guess part of my character is to ask questions. Part of my character is to advocate. And I just knew whatever I was going to do to help him survive. And so it's interesting. I always say, when the doctor first came in the room when we were, going through all of it, and I said, you need to know that this man is loved. He is loved dearly, not just by me, by many. So I need for you to do everything that you need to do to make sure that he survives.
Awesome.
So I started like that so that when I started asking a ton of questions, they were okay.
They were okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They just need to know that up front. I'm not going to drop him off in the treatment room. I'm going to sit in there with him.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be there hand in hand. And he has daughters. They're going to be in here too. So there was a gang of us loving this man through this journey.
That's important, because they need to know that there are people there that's going to ask questions and look out for this person and care for this person. Because many people don't have visitors. They don't have anybody to speak up for them. So, services are delayed or not even received or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's great. That's a good point to, make sure you show up for your person. Let's see. How are you? How were you able, you took care of your dad? Then I don't know how long the period was before you had to take care of your husband, but then you've gone through all that. How did you get back to you? How did you, like, what emotions did you have to deal with, and how did you get back to being Patricia?
It's interesting. I always, eh, reflecting back, though it doesn't sound really good, sometimes caregiving is like tiny spaces of grief. Like you're grieving all the way through, depending on what it is, where your loved one is at that time, as you're caregiving. And they may be in a space where they can where you're caregiving, and then there's recovery.
Right.
And then there's sometimes caregiving that leads to hospice.
Mm.
And sometimes there's caregiving that whatever that that journey, that caregiving journey for that person, of course, is different. But you're almost grieving as you go through this journey because there's pain. Sometimes their body goes through pain. There is emotional pain. There is physical pain, and so counseling helped me. When my husband passed, I definitely would advise that if that's something that is available to you, or even a circle of family and friends
Mhm.
that that won't let you stay in that grieving state. Because, sometimes family members want you to stay grieving,
Mhm.
and because they can't work it out.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and for me, I've always volunteered, so I do that now on a different level. But what I guess I can um, offer is that you don't know that you're going to be a caregiver. You slide into it oftentimes, depending on who it is, whether it's a mother or father, sister, husband. Um, uh, Drop the pride, be humble,
Mhm.
um, seek out if you can, whatever resources there are for you to help you manage, depending on whether you're working or whether you already, retired or in a different space. Look at your life because your life changes. For the 2 years that I was caregiving for my husband, we had to move out of our home
Mm.
for a year
Mm.
while he was being treated in another city here in North Carolina.
Wow.
And then with different treatments and depending on where he was, I was driving 600 miles a week back and forth, checking on my house. Bills still had to be paid, you know, lawn still had to be mowed. I mean, you know what I mean? Like life still had to go on
Yeah.
um, while he was being treated. So being deliberate and intentional about, okay, put your bills on auto pay. So I had to do that because I wasn't physically in my house and I wasn't touching stuff. I had to get a laptop, do all my bills and any other community through that. So if you're organized, fine, or if you have someone else in your life organized, do that. Put all your passwords in one little book so everybody knows how to get into everything when needed. Um, and definitely reach out for resources. And for me, spiritually, I do attend church. I do have which I call my tribe. I have an amazing circle of women around me that I laugh with, that I cry with when I need to. And yes, I shed a lot of tears. I said my steering wheel on my car, I got a whole lot of tears. Because that's where I would do my crying.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and if you can, get rest when you can, and exercise if you can, even if it's walking, and do your best to eat well.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience, or um, anything that you think that they should know or haven't known, or things that we overlook that are necessary and we might need?
Yeah. Tell people what you need. Seriously. Tell people what you need and say it out loud. Um, because that's the only way you're gonna get the help you need if you're at that point or you're in that space. And you know, whether it's a meal, a ride, transportation, be specific. Let your village show up for you. We do have it. We hope, we have it, even if it's a neighbor.
Mhm.
That will help. Um, because caregiving, you tend to be, it's lonesome,
Mm.
but we don't want the caregiver to be invisible,
Oh, yes.
right? So yes, and then just to share, and this is for anybody anywhere in the nation. If you plug in your city plus the area agency on aging,
Mhm.
then it gives you a list of resources in your area. What's available. I mean, you're gonna have to go through them, call on different things, whether you need transportation or meals,
Oh.
not. But it's a start. And then also lots of information about how you feel about support groups. I utilize AARP, their caregiving resources. And so that's helpful too. Sometimes they have online uh, groups where you can talk about caregiving, and you can help vent here and there and see what people are going through just like you.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Patricia. I really appreciate you coming and sharing your story so openly and so honestly. I'm sure that will touch other people, and you gave them some very interesting tips and some situations that we might not normally think about, that we should probably take action ahead of time and things like that. So it's really good. It's always good to share stories because then people can relate, or people can say, "Wow, this is happening to me. Maybe I should do this." Do that. So I'm so grateful for you to spend some time with us today on One of Us Here. And share your story.
Thank you for having this space to share this story. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, take care.